everyone, what is up? It is Big Boss, your humble host, and I go to the movies too much. It's just a fact. When you're a future filmmaker and a film buff like myself, you kinda have to go to the movies that much. But, luckily for me this year, we had a lot of amazing stuff to go out and see. In particular today, I want to talk about 5 of them. That's right, my top 5 films of 2015. Now, with so much great stuff coming out this year, there was bound to be some things I missed. Mainly, and the one that depressed me the most, The Big Short. I really want to go out and see that. It looked spectacular, but I just didn't have the time. Everything else that was really impressive this year, I got to go out and see. And I've narrowed down my 5 favorite films of 2015. Now, quick warning, there might be a few spoilers on this list, because, well, it just comes with the territory. And before we start, I will be doing 2 brief honorable mentions, because I thought they were really good films, and they just barely missed my list. And keep in mind, this is my list. This is just what the 5 films that spoke to me the most this year. I don't expect you all to agree with me. I just want to gush about how awesome I thought these movies were. Now, that being said, let's get started. At number 5, we have a film that really snuck up on me this year. Ex Machina follows the story of an artificially intelligent woman who's tested with the, I believe it's called Turing test, to decide whether or not she can actually be considered a human, or at least that she has all the human qualities. This film definitely snuck up on me, majorly because I really had never even heard this movie was coming out until it did, and then it started getting these rave reviews. So I thought, alright, let's give it a watch. And it was genius. The concept was genius, the acting was genius, the directing was genius, everything about it was spectacular. Really, I don't want to explain much more about the film, because I'm afraid I would just... if you haven't gone out and seen this, you have to go see this. It is amazing. Whether you rent it or you... It was on Netflix for a while, I don't think it is anymore. But no matter what way you see it, you should go out and see it, just because of the implications it had. It was a genius film, and really, I couldn't believe it when I was done watching it. It was such a well-crafted and unique idea, and everything about it worked. I could not gush more about how much this film surprised me and ended up being one of my favorites. I don't see this film ever becoming irrelevant. I don't think it's going to get hurt with age. I think this is a film that will always have those implications and that we'll always end up watching. I mean, really, the fact that this is only number 5 just shows how ballsy this year was in terms of film. I loved it. I highly recommend you go out and see it. It was great. The only thing I will say is that at times, sort of like with a Kubrick film, it got a little lost in its own concept. But really, it just presented so many unique ideas and had so many great performances, and everything about it was just so interesting to watch. Even that little flaw, you can completely forget about it and enjoy the rest of this brilliant film. Spectacular, really great, totally deserving of my number 5 spot. This one, number 4, is The Martian, and this one ended up a little lower on the list than I expected it to. I loved this film. I went out and saw it with my friends. It was so much fun to watch. From a visual standpoint, everything was gorgeous. From an acting standpoint, I mean, Matt Damon really did have to carry a lot of the film on his shoulders, and he absolutely did. Ridley Scott's directing was exceptional, and screw the Oscars for not nominating him, because that's ridiculous. He deserved it. I mean, really, I'm not sure much I can say about this movie that hasn't already been said. Everything about it worked. Well, almost everything. Yes, the plot, at times, could get a little bit repetitive. There were just characters that felt almost irrelevant. And, again, though, that's a really minor complaint. And again, big reason I'm putting it higher on the list is because I think some of the characters being a little less than necessary was actually more of an opinion than a fact. But yeah, I loved this movie. It was great. Everything about it really worked. I mean, it made millions upon millions of dollars, tons of award nominations. Everyone who saw it loved it. It was well done. The science in the movie was brilliant. I've looked it up. Pretty much everything they did, with the exception of how he got stuck on Mars, was actually scientifically accurate. That's freaking impressive. The amount of detail they would have had to have looked up to make sure all of this is correct is absolutely mind-boggling, which mainly that credit goes to the actual author of the original book, But still, the fact that they translated that over to film so well it's more than impressive. It's ugh. Again, this was a really gutsy kind of film to put this much money into something when really it is a sci-fi film, but it's a very intelligent sci-fi film, and studios don't always trust intelligent films. But they went with their gut, they decided to fund it, and everyone loved it, and it's proof that intelligently written films are what a lot of the audience want now. It deserves the number 4 spot, I loved it, and frankly, if you haven't gone out and seen it, you don't know what you're missing. At number 3, we've got the film that many people think is finally going to win DiCaprio an Oscar, The Revenant. I actually only really recently saw this one. I've been waiting for ages to see it. I finally went out and saw it, and wow. First off, from a visual standpoint, like cinematography-wise, it was just absolutely gorgeous to look at. All of the scenery and the shots they got, the directing was great. I mean, just from a visual standpoint, this film was so beautiful to look at. Probably the most beautifully shot film of the year. Everything about it was just gorgeous. And the acting, mainly from, of course, DiCaprio and Tom Hardy, both did a spectacular job. It was great. I loved it. I mean, those performances really did have to carry a huge part of the film, and they did it. I mean, DiCaprio had to do so much with so little dialogue, but you would never tell. He's spectacular. He does so much with just facial expressions. And it really takes a grade A acting talent to do that. If I had to give one flaw with the film, it is a little long. There are parts of it that kind of felt like they could have been cut out. But at the same time, watching the crazy things this guy had to do to survive is absolutely, it's spectacular to watch. I think actually my father put it the best when he said that the film was kind of like a cross between Dances with Wolves and Gladiator. It's that revenge story, but set in a much more kind of Dances with Wolves natural setting. And from a visual and story standpoint, those two merge very well. I mean, it was just spectacular. I really did, from just the size and scale of it, have to like this movie. Oh my gosh, I could really gush about this film for quite some time. I don't want to go into it too much more because there honestly isn't much more about the film to talk about. But I mean, if this isn't the film that wins DiCaprio an Oscar, I don't know what will. The directing was great, the acting was great, the cinematography could not have been more beautiful. The writing, though slightly flawed, was still very well done. It was just a great film. I mean, everything about it was great. If you have the chance, go out and see it. What else can I say? It definitely earned my number 3 spot. At number 2, we have was probably the film that really did, as much as Ex Machina surprised me, this is the film that I did not expect to like as much as I did the most, which is Inside Out. Now, funny story about Inside Out. We were going out it was my birthday and a friend of mine's birthday. We have really close birthdays, and he actually has a YouTube channel as well. Go check out the Nerd Arc 2.0, great channel. But yeah, we were going out for our birthdays, and we went out to see a movie, and I cannot for the life of me tell you what movie it was. I cannot remember what movie we went out to see. But after that, we kind of went and we had some dinner, and we hung out at it was like a kind of a comic secondhand store, game shop type of deal. And we came back and we decided, you know what, let's go see another movie. What looks good? And he'd seen it and he said, Inside Out was actually really, really good. Let's go see Inside Out. And we did. And it was amazing. It was an exceptional, exceptional film. And it's a testament to the fact that I remember Inside Out so well, but I cannot for the life of you tell me what we actually originally went to see. I cannot tell you. Inside Out, first off, it was a crazily unique concept. I mean, just the idea of focusing so much inside a person's head, well, really we're only getting glimpses of what's going on the outside, that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. But to the credit of the writers and all the actors, it's always interesting. It has a great message that both kids and adults can understand and really get a lot out of. It's hilarious. I mean, it was so funny. Again, from both an adult and a child standpoint, the movie's hilarious. Every single voice actor is exceptional. Every single one of them. There isn't one performance in this film that you will not just enjoy. especially Amy Poehler. I mean, she's Amy Poehler, what do you expect? And seeing Lewis Black, one of the dirtiest comedians probably on the face of the planet, in a kid's film is really funny. I mean, you'd have to expect it to be. And again, the message within the film is just so deep and so layered, but yet it's brought down to a level that kids can understand, but adults can see a much deeper meaning in it. I mean, when you have a film that's so clearly crafted to appeal so easily to children, but at the same time be such an enjoyable experience for adults, it's not easy for films to do that. And I really think only Disney and Pixar have been able to consistently do that. I mean, maybe DreamWorks, maybe, but for as much crap as Disney gets for being kind of this really massive company that tends to screw people over from time to time, they make good movies. Especially in the animated area, they make good stuff. I did not expect this, but it really is my number 2 favorite film of the year. It was. Let's face it, you all saw this coming. Despite the fact that no one expected this to be the best movie of the year, Mad Max Fury Road really was the most well-crafted film of this year. Honestly, this already ranks up as one of the greatest action movies ever made. You gotta give almost all of the credit for this to George Miller. George Miller directed, wrote, and produced such a fantastic experience. I mean, that's the best way I can describe the film. It's not even necessarily a film, it's an experience. From start to finish, it is high octane, but at the same time, it's making you think. And there's all this explosions and craziness going on around you, and the acting and characters are just so intriguing, and it fired on all cylinders. From start to finish, there's not a moment you can think about skipping. I'm assuming everyone at the film face of the planet has heard about this film already, and if you haven't gone out to see it, it's because you're thinking, oh, that looks so stupid, that looks so ridiculous. I thought that too. When I got to heard about the really good reviews it was getting, I was like, really, a Mad Max movie? Those usually just get kind of good reviews, and people are like, yeah, I feel like action movies, go see them. But still, I went out and saw Fury Road and didn't know what to expect, and I was blown away. It was absolutely spectacular. Tom Hardy, who's having one of the best years of any actor out there right now, was great. Charlize Theron was, I mean, so amazing in that. Oh, Nicholas Hoult did a great job. All the wives did a great job. It was great. And as far as I'm concerned, George Miller needs to win the Oscar for Best Director this year. Everything about the film, this film might actually have been perfect. It took an action movie, which really is a genre that is known for being really light in the plot department, and in a really smart move, just kind of slowly fed us the plot through more of a visual means. And it really, by the end of it, we knew what was going on completely. We had everything we needed to connect the dots. So we had a really deep plot, but at the same time, we had all the amazing action you wanted out of an action movie. I mean, I've never seen a film that managed to be both this, like, amazing, blow your mind, and this smart at the same time. Not since maybe even Pulp Fiction. This film, I don't know how, like, I can describe how well crafted it was. It was just, from a visually standpoint, I could watch it for hours. Even just turn off the volume, and I could still pretty much get what was going on. This could have worked as a silent black and white film, and it still would have understood everything it was trying to do. It's genius. It's an amazing testament to how talented and intelligent George Miller is. I did not expect this to be my favorite film of the year, but really, I think everyone's right. I think this is the best movie of the year. In every way, shape, or form. It really is that good. Go out and see it for the love of God. Ugh, what a lovely film. My first honorable mention is one you probably all saw coming, The Hateful Eight. I loved this movie, I love Quentin Tarantino, but if I'm being honest with myself, it wasn't one of the 5 best films of the year, even for me. As great as it was, as much fun as I had watching it, and as much as I think people should go out and see it, it just didn't rank up there. To be fair, though, I mean, can you really expect Tarantino to put out one of the best films ever made every single year? It's not realistic. So, as much as I loved it, I will just have to give it the honorable mention. And here comes the one that's going to tick people off. Yes, Star Wars The Force Awakens is only an honorable mention. Now, let me be clear. I loved this movie. I went out and saw the movie marathon with my friends for Pete's sakes. I love Star Wars as much as anyone else. And it was great. But the simple fact of the matter is, I don't think it was one of the 5 best films of 2015. At least not one of my 5 favorites, anyways. It really did, in my opinion, rely a bit too heavily on the prequels. Or not the prequels, the originals. The prequels sucked. And really, that's not necessarily a bad thing because it did everything very well. But for pure originality points, I had to give these 5 films that are higher. I just had to rank them higher. I had to. I loved it. You loved it. Let's just agree that Star Wars was amazing, but maybe not as amazing as we all hoped it was going to be. Be cool? Be cool. So there you have it, my top 5 films of 2015. Do you all have to agree with me? No, of course you don't have to. But I think most people can at least admit that these were all really, really well-crafted films. And if you're looking for 5 or 7, if you count the, honorable mentions, films to go out and see, you'd be hard-pressed to find better ones than these. It was a great year film-wise, and these films are just a testament to how great it really was. I can only hope that 2016 is anywhere near as good.